Welcome back to the Press Club. Of course, another story making the news locally, regionally, and internationally as well is the Zika virus. The CDC, the Centers for Disease Control in the U.S., this week extended the list of countries on its travel advisory list, where it has warned pregnant women or women intending to get pregnant to stay away from certain countries, including those in Latin America and the Caribbean. That list has grown to include countries like Barbados, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Trinidad and Tobago, I believe, and Guyana as well. Locally, the medical practitioners and authorities, the chief medical officer has expressed some concern that now it's grown closer to home, so the ministry has ramped up their preparations. They've been planning and training medical staff in the diagnosis and management of Zika virus, with the intention that when it does come, and it's a question of when according to the CMO, it's not if anymore, especially considering how freely people are traveling. The CAPHA, the Caribbean Public Health Agency, has also been very active, very concerned about Zika. While it is a very mild disease transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, the same mosquito or vector that transmits the dengue and chikungunya viruses and diseases, it's a mild condition, but the concern primarily is about the pregnant women. We've heard of what's happening over in Brazil as they prepare for the Olympics over there. Concern is very high over in Brazil. Cases of microcephaly, a condition that results from the Zika virus with the shrinking of the brain and mental retardation. So obviously, we've heard as well from the travel industry, a lot of cancellations. Number of airlines and cruise ship companies have been offering rebates and alternatives to their clients. The local St. Lucia Hotel and Tourism Association, as well as the Tourist Board, have expressed concern. They met with the CMO and the medical authorities this week to plan their reaction. And while they have not gone the route of some of the international hotel chains in terms of offering rebates and that sort of thing, they have had some cancellations. Their emphasis has been on getting the public, getting the hotel plans to rid their surroundings of mosquito breeding grounds, and to take the public relations approach of assuring travelers that St. Lucia is still a safe destination. But another way that we can look at it is the media's coverage as well of the Zika outbreak.
Yeah, I think, interestingly, I think everybody knows the details. You know, it has overwhelmed Brazil. The predictions are that within the next year, there are going to be 4 million people with Zika in Latin America and the Caribbean. 1.5 million will be in Brazil. The rest will be shared among us.
So what's that projection based on?
The projection is based on the spread across the US Brazil, its size and population, and the rate of spread. The statistics, the statisticians could boil everything down to statistics and comparable statistics. So they are saying, while it will be 4 million on the basis of the spread in Brazil, and Brazil will have 1.5 million, but they are saying that when one assesses that and you make a comparable assessment, that the 1.5 million in Brazil would amount to 200 in Trinidad and 20 in some of the small islands, and maybe in the case of St. Lucia 5. But I'm saying that statistics are okay when they're just figures, but when you're dealing statistics with life and people, we have to be careful about the comparisons. Whether it's 1,000, 1.5 million in Brazil, or 200 in Trinidad, or 5 in St. Lucia, we're talking about lives of people. And therefore, if 5 in St. Lucia could mean the spread as fast as it has been in Brazil, then that is where we have to start taking into consideration the warning by the CMO that it is not if but when. Because even as we speak tonight, we cannot say that Zika is not yet here.
Yeah, we have no confirmed cases, right?
Yeah, it just hasn't been traced. Now, in terms of the concern of the tourism bodies, it is natural and good that the tourism bodies have taken the forefront on this one, because diseases move either through people or through natural forms of communication. And in the case of Zika, it moves through people. And therefore, since people move through tourism from country to country, and since every cruise ship that arrives here goes to other territories that may have the virus, since every airline that operates here would be flying to other countries that may have the virus, we have to try to stop it at our borders. But it doesn't mean that that is the only place, because with Zika in Martinique, in Barbados, in St. Croix, places where St. Lucians go and come every day, we also have to be able to look at it. We also have to look at it as the fishermen. The fishermen, the boats that are going to Martinique every day and returning. Is any mechanism in place to check those persons who go to Martinique? And we do know that there are persons who do not register their entry to and exit from Martinique. So that would be an important area to look at. Insofar as the press coverage of it, here too, as we've always said, I think we're reporting rather than trying to see how best we could adapt what we want to report to our situation in a way that we can, as human beings, can also be part and process of sensitizing the public on the issue. What has the media been concentrating on? Microcephaly, the small head, small brain syndrome. That is what's being reported. Oh, Zika is bad because, pregnant mothers, if they get bitten in the first 3 months, will have babies with small heads. Then what is being promoted out of that? Is this the right time to get pregnant? Should women want to get pregnant? Should women be warned not to get pregnant? We don't seem to have gotten it right as yet in terms of what we think should be said. We're waiting to hear what will be said. But I have said elsewhere, repeatedly this week, that I think this is a bad time to get pregnant. And if the Zika virus is going to be here for at least another year, it is the time, I think, once again, use of condoms and protection is going to take the forefront, and I think that is what needs to be promoted. Don't go and tell women don't have sex. Don't tell them that this is not a time to have sex. I do not know that many women go to have sex to get pregnant unless they've planned it, but in the context where we're still considered a sex rampant society, particularly among young people, and considering that it has been proven in the United States that Zika is spread by sexual intercourse. They are saying in the United States that 2 cases have been found where it is proven. And they are saying, listen, the CDC, Center for Disease Control, is saying, considering it's only 2 people who have been confirmed to have acquired Zika through sex, it is not enough insofar as the size of the American population to consider it a national calamity. It's not enough persons have got it through sex to issue a warning against it, but they are confirming that it can be spread through sex. So that's an extra thing we need to be aware. It's not only through the mosquito, but also through sex. And therefore, I think this is where we have to start assisting the health authorities, because this is a national concern. And rather than just reporting what the CMO says and reporting what the CDC says and reporting what CAFA and PAHO and WHO says, on Monday, the WHO is going to be having a serious meeting because the Director General has indicated that PAHO have woken up to the fact that whereas they treated the Zika as a passing cloud, it is now something with global attention. And on Monday, the World Health Organization will be meeting to decide whether to treat Zika as a global pandemic. I suspect they will, considering the experience with Ebola and chikungunya. So I'm saying, should we wait till Monday? Should we wait to hear what the UN is going to say? No, I think we know it will be here. We don't know that it is not yet here, and I think the role of the press in this has to transcend reporting. It has to be one where we recognize that we, every single one of us, is liable to become a victim, and therefore the things that we are saying to people, it needs to guide us as well, and therefore we need to increase and sharpen our understanding of the disease, how it's moving around, the fact that it has now stemmed up into creation of other diseases. That is what is being investigated now, whether microcephaly is a direct result of Zika, and there's a new one that has been found in El Salvador. Yeah, it's in the papers as well, which they are saying is also associated with the Zika, and it is being investigated. Then on Friday morning, I got a call from a relative who told me, you know, he's got a bad throat and he's got ulcers, he had to go to hospital and so on. And as if this bad throat thing was communicable by telephone, as soon as I hung up and I got up, I felt the same way. My throat was scorching all the way down to my stomach. I was terribly weak. And then I called another friend who hadn't turned up to work the day before. And she said, well, she's got a flu. I said, what is it? She said, it's a bad throat. It's from the throat going down to her chest. And I spoke to 5 people who had that similar condition. And all they were saying is that the doctor said it's a flu. A flu. Now, the word about a flu, considering I don't know any 2 people who define a flu as the same thing. But we kept being warned about swine flu, which is in Trinidad, and which Grenada was worrying about. Is it here? Are we hearing anything, or are we only studying virus? Zika. Because, like I said, this is how it starts. 1 or 2 people. Remember when chikungunya came around, it was 1 or 2 people, and they were being given Panadol by doctors and nurses, and were never told that there is no cure for chikungunya. Right now, there's no cure for Zika, and the scientists who are monitoring it have said it's going to take 10 years. Most likely 10 years before they come up with a cure. I think the pharmaceutical companies are going to cut short that 10 years and come up with something soon, because the Americans have started selling something which is addressing one of the side effects, but it is not addressing Zika, but the Americans are already spreading it out. So I think as the press, this is another one of those situations where we have to see Zika as not just a news item, but a situation that is liable to affect us as well. And to bear in mind that in the same way that we are reporting so that we can help people have information and better understand what is happening insofar as Zika, we have to recall every time we use that pen or touch that keyboard that everything we write there also applies to us.
Yeah. I wanted to talk before we run out of time about what's happening over in Taiwan. The DPP won the election over there. Tsai Ing-wen, first female president. The newspaper headlines following the election suggest that relations between Taiwan and China are not ever going to be the same. We've learned that Japan has now become a factor because the president-elect has a very close relationship with Mr. Abe. Abe in Japan.
Oh yeah, the president-elect.
You know,
yeah.
and then we know of the situation with China as far as Japan, the Philippines, and the controversy over there. How do you see it playing out, and what is the potential impact for our relationship with those countries?
First of all, I was in Taiwan for the elections. I attended all the briefings, including by her party and the opposition, met with key officials of both the winning and losing party, met with government and opposition officials, met with social scientists, election commissioners, etc.
You're busy.
Yeah, we were busy. I spent 11 days.
Okay, well, we do for a break. Let's take the break. When we come back, you can tell us a little bit about what you did over there. This is the Press Club. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll talk about the Taiwanese elections, the implications for us here, and internationally generally, and then we'll talk about the CSA situation as well.